Hello crafters, I'm Sarithri, and today I wanted to talk about washable pens. So I don't know how many of you have used this before. If you're on my channel, you're probably a cross-stitcher, but they are used a lot in like transferring embroidery patterns onto fabric. I've used them in sewing just to mark off like where I need to cut or where I need to stop stitching, or I mean, it's used in a lot of different ways. For cross stitch specifically, it's a lot of times used for gridding. Now, there are a lot of different methods for gridding, and I have a whole article on my website on options ranging from using plain old sewing thread to Kreinik blending filament to fishing line, etc. But one of the options is, of course, washable pens. Now, you might be more familiar nowadays with like friction pens, which are heat erasable pens, and these are super useful as well. But I live in Colorado and it gets cold in the winter, especially down in my dimly lit basement office. So these come back. They return when it's too cold. So that's a problem for me. I have used these washable pens in the past for many years and have had wonderful results with them. I don't grid often anymore. I don't do as big of projects as I used to, so I don't feel the need to grid as often. But when I do, washable pens. They also make a purple version of this, which are typically air erasable pens, where it just mysteriously vanishes over time. You don't have to wash it out or do anything, but my projects tend to take for freaking ever, so that would not work. Especially in cross stitch, when you're doing a big project, you want it to last for a while, because you're going to be working on it for a year, or 2 years, or 20 in some cases. And that leads me to today's video. I want to know if this washes out after 20 years, because I've had projects where it takes, a few months, and that washes out perfectly fine. So we're going to do some testing. We're going to do science, or, well, pseudo-science, because we're just having fun here. Alright, so here's our test cases. I have some blank pieces of Ada that we're going to draw on today with this marker. I'm going to iron one of them to see if that sets the ink. And then I'm going to wash them both out tomorrow, maybe at the end of the week, whenever I next get a chance to record. And we're going to see how well they wash out in a relatively quick fashion. Like, if it hasn't been on here long, it should wash out nice and simple. The iron might heat set it, we'll see. And then I also have this sample from that article that I talked about earlier, where I did an example of gridding using the washable pen in 2022. So it's been about 2 years since I did that article on gridding. So has it set now? I might iron a corner just to see if that changes anything. 2 years. And then I also have a couple of projects from forever ago. This one here is a Heaven and Earth Designs. It's Motherhood by, I want to say, Selena Finek. Don't know if that's how I pronounce her name. But I started this 19 years ago. And I didn't start gridding until like page 4 or so. And then I was only gridding as I go. And something interesting to note is that a lot of the... I will overlay this with photos because you can't see it on camera. Cool. But a lot of the washable pen has completely faded over time. It's there. There's little blue dots where the lines crossed, but that's about it. So that's interesting to know. It does fade over time. There's a little bit of blue here at the bottom where it was gridded. You can kind of see the little dots I'm talking about. And that little splash of blue down here. I don't intend to ever finish this for a few reasons. First of all, this was my first attempt at gridding, and you can see that I was going by rows. which, as you can tell, has this unfortunate effect of causing banding. Now, part of the reason I want to go ahead and wash this is because I want to know if washing and ironing will remove that banding. But also, there are patches of this washable pen that have been on there for over 18 years. So that'll be interesting. I don't know if I used the same, this is the Dritz Mark Begone. I might have used a Clover pen, I might have used a Bowen pen. I don't know. It's been 18 years. But it was meant to be a washable pen. The other project I have is even older. It's at least 20 years old, and it's this Dimensions Gold Collection Angelic Melody. And according to the copyright on here, and this is just the cover, the rest is in my filing cabinet, it was copyright 2003. So the most it could be is 21 years old, and let's not talk about the fact that 2003 was 21 years ago. Yeah, I don't want to think about it. Thanks. Anyway, I started this, and I got a quarter of the way in. You can see I only gridded a quarter at a time to begin with. So there's still quite a bit of washable pen there. It has clearly faded, especially in the areas with where they're stitching, so that's interesting. Something about the act of stitching slowly rubs it off over time, perhaps. But especially on this like corner and over here on the edges, there's still a lot of washable pen there that we can wash out. But this one, the problem I ran into, and why I will probably never finish it, is that this lighter peachy color on the wings here, those were meant to be stitched with a single strand of thread. And out of sheer muscle memory, I went stitching with 2 strands, and it looks fine. It wouldn't be a problem as far as looks are concerned, except for the fact that I went through thread twice as fast as I was supposed to, so I naturally ran out of that color. Now, could I have messaged Dimensions and have them send me a new batch of thread so that I could finish it? Probably. I've heard a lot of good things about their customer service back then. Did I? No, I promptly put it in timeout for 2 decades. So there's that. Dimensions has since been bought out by, I want to say, Simplicity. Their customer service is not as great from what I hear and what I read online, so I could go through and just color match it to my DMC set. It'd probably be fine. But I don't wanna. And also I started this over 20 years ago. The person that I was planning to gift this to is no longer in my life. It's a lot of work, and I don't care. So I can use it as a science experiment and see if this 20 to 21-year-old washable pen marks wash out. And we will learn from it that way. And then maybe I can repurpose some of the rest of this fabric. It's a fair bit of fabric. I mean, I got 3 whole quadrants of fabric worth out of this. I mean, if anyone wants to adopt this angel, let me know, and I will send it your way with the pattern and the thread that I have left and everything. But do know that there's not enough of that beige, and you will have to color match. It is pretty, though. So, where should we start? Oh, we need to do the fresh. So, again, the idea for these 2 is that we're doing it fresh. Let's date them first. Don't have to be anything particular. As the date of recording, it is April 29th. I apologize for everyone who writes dates the proper way, but I'm a filthy American, and I'm going to write it our way. Okay. And now it really doesn't matter because, again, this is just going to be washed out in the next few days. And this is just a scrap bit of Ada? I still don't know how that's meant to be pronounced. So we just want, I'm not even counting, I'm not trying to grid or anything. Actually, we'll do some cross sections because I did notice on the other samples that the parts that don't fade are the parts that like cross over. Especially, so like the lines will fade, but the little crossover points haven't. So that's interesting to see if those somehow. I'm just gonna do some doodling. Maybe draw some hearts. Do. And we're gonna draw a little iron because I think this is gonna be the one that we iron out. I don't know how to draw an iron apparently. Nope. Looks more like an old rotary phone. Wow. I mean, kind of. We have the rotary. Let's just draw it out. And there you go. Phone. Or an iron. One of the two. Can't tell. This one we're not going to iron. We're just going to straight up wash off. You get to watch me just waste some of my washable pen on a doodle. What do I want to doodle on here? How about storks? There we go. Randomly stork scissors because it's not even in proportion remotely. That's fine. I don't care. Whee! Okay. There's our controls to see how well they wash out in a short amount of time. This one, let's see if I can find, I don't know the exact date that this was done in. Obviously, this new marking is not going to be accurate. But we know that I put out that article in 2022, so that is probably when that was. So I just got done recording that bit with the wonderful artwork that looks just like my iron, doesn't it? Yes. Okay. So we're going to try ironing this because I've been told in the past that ironing washable pen is a good way to set it and not be able to wash it out afterwards. So we're going to test it. You're probably right, but you never know until you try. Now I am ironing this on a higher heat setting than I normally would, and I'm not using a pressing cloth like I normally would. So I'm giving this washable pen every possibility to set. I'm gonna leave it on there for longer than I normally would. Okay, that's probably enough. Okay. So this is not how I would normally iron my projects, but pretty good. Let's give it a few days and then I will come back and wash it out. All right, folks. Welcome to my kitchen where we have significantly better lighting than my basement office and tortilla bowls instead of fruit bowls. Perfectly normal. All right, let's get started. So as I talked about before, we did these a few days ago. It's actually May 3rd at the time of filming this, so it's been 5 days, almost a week. This one was ironed. This one has not been. And we have here some room temperature soapy water that we're going to dump them both into unceremoniously while I talk. And look at that, they're instantly vanishing. And sure enough, they've both washed out pretty nicely. I mean, it's wet, obviously. Let me go get a towel. So, nice. these. I should actually rinse these off. I should have made a different bowl without soapy water. But they both washed out. I'm just gonna go rinse these off. Now, I talked about this in the article I wrote on how to wash your cross stitch, but you don't want to wring those out. I literally just rinsed them off, and now they're gonna dry here while we do the rest. So again, this one was done in 2022 for another website article. Apparently I need to feed my plants. How about not right now? Okay. This one was done in about 2022, so it's about 2 and some months year old. And earlier tonight I ironed this corner. You can tell because it is slightly discolored because I left it on too long. So if anything's gonna stick, it's gonna be that. And let's see. Yeah, it pretty much instantly faded away. I haven't scrubbed or anything. You'll notice that the middle spot there and some of the lines are still visible. Let's see what happens when we do some swishing around. Maybe rub at the spot a little bit. Flip it over, maybe rub from the other side. Interesting. It took a little extra effort than just literally dropping it in there, but it's pretty clean. I mean, you saw with the fresh ones that like the moment I dropped them in, they were like gone. But this one, cool. I'm gonna go rinse this off now. And now we have a slightly wet and slightly discolored piece of cloth with no lines on it. That ironing mark though, that's staying. I did not think this through. Oh my god. Next up we have this UFO from 18 plus years ago. I am not going to be submerging all of it because the edges are covered in tape, and that is a different video, finding out what happens to masking tape after 18 years. But I did want to find out if washing will get rid of these lines from the parking and also these faint spots of washable pen. So those are the sections I'll be focusing on. Unceremoniously dunk that in there. Let it soak in. Oh yeah. Look at that. Alright, that's probably long enough. Let's find out. Yeah, there was this weird rust spot up here. I think it's a rust spot from like leaving a needle in there. That doesn't seem to be coming out very well. But wait for the water to drain through the fabric. There we go. And that looks like it washed out pretty cleanly, actually. Look at that, that faint grid is gone. I'm gonna go rinse this out carefully. All right, that was hard to do while trying not to get the tape wet. But yeah, all of the blue seems to have washed out just fine. That yellow speck of whatever that was, not so much. Now for our final test, this piece from 21 years ago, which I've now just grabbed with my wet handprint and is already starting to fade. But we still have a pretty clear grid here. So let's see what happens. This is actually a little bit too big, but ooh, that is some dirty water. But sure enough, even after 20 some odd years, that blue washed right on out. Very nice. Make sure to get that aside. All right. All right. Sure enough, after rinsing out, which again I just do with room temperature tap water, I will now let these dry and we can come back and take proper photos to show just exactly how much washed out. Overall, I think they all did pretty well. Alrighty, it is the next day and things have been drying overnight and we have some news. Don't worry, it's not about the washable pens. Well, so first of all, our motherhood is just as clean as it was. I will overlay some photos because I'm sitting in the dark again as per usual. But you can see that it's fine. It hasn't come back. The blue pen is completely washed out. The banding from the parking still very there even after ironing it. The random stain from who knows what has faded but is still there. So overall, washable pen, 10 out of 10. Whatever random grime was on there, not so good. The problem is with the Angel, the washable pen hasn't come back. Let me just trim off this fraying thread before I pick it up again. Okay. The washable pen is gone. It's not coming back. It's great. What's not great is that we had some bleeding. Now in that last clip, there was no bleeding. There was no indication that it would bleed. After that clip, I took all of them and laid them in the towel, rolled up the towel with the cross stitches and, pressed a little bit to get all the water out, and then unrolled them, patted them down, got a fresh towel so that it was dry and it wasn't just sitting on a damp towel all night. And then I brought them down to my office to dry, flat, right there on the photo station. And when I got up this evening and came down to my office, there was bleeding. So that's fun. But that's on the Dimensions red thread and not on the washable pen. But it does go to show that even if you do all the right things, if your thread is not color safe or your fabric's not color safe, it can and will bleed. But as far as the washable pen goes, excellent. Doesn't matter if it was 2 years, 20 years, came right out. Like almost instantly. The only one that I had to kind of rub at was that 2-year one, but even then, not really. So good to know. Moral of the story, check for color fastness, especially with red threads. And doodle on your fabric with washable pen with reckless abandon because it will be fine. I hope you learned something this video. I certainly did. Hopefully I will see you guys back around next month, for I will be doing the Choose Your Floss Adventure challenge. of my own and doing some fun new crafts. And then in July, we'll be back to actual cross stitch stuff, probably. That's the plan. But whatever you decide to do next, keep creating.